Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the Pulse Podcast. Nate Mullins here, Connor Roush here, Greg Kinn behind the board, manning everything, keeping us live. We are once again in studio here, Studio Square, downtown Tiffin. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share the video, folks. Share, like, subscribe, all of the following. Make sure, please, you share the video, especially, because that helps us so much. It extends our reach beyond what we're capable of. You wouldn't know how many of your friends might be interested in what we're doing. So please help us out. Share the video. Connor, thanks for coming on with us again.
Not a problem.
Appreciate your time here on Monday nights.
Yes, sir.
As well as you, Greggy. Honestly, we can't do anything we're doing without you. So thanks for coming on and helping us out tonight.
My pleasure, man.
Also, we got a special guest joining us on the program tonight via Zoom.
Yeah, he said he should be ready here in a few minutes. He
So
should be getting on.
We'll save that. That's a teaser.
Yes.
We have a guest joining us soon on the show, who you'll just have to find out here in just a couple minutes. So once again, thanks for tuning in here on the Pulse. We've got a few things to talk about. Let's get into it, guys. So first up, week 2 in the books, high school football. Can you already believe we're nearing the midway point of the high school football season?
It's crazy.
It's unreal. I know it's still 8 weeks in front of us, but it flies by. Trust me. It's gone. So you got to appreciate every week while it's here. And I'll tell you what, last week
Was an interesting week.
that was fun.
Now, on different aspects. Now, that was the first time that we split crews,
Correct.
which was absolutely amazing. I thought that went well, and it was a blast. And it was also a week of the blowouts. It was everywhere. Everywhere it was a blowout.
Except for Fostoria Seneca East.
No.
That was a great game. But no, it really felt like around the area, week 2 was a lot of blowouts.
It was.
A lot of big tune-up games is what we like to call it. Week 2 is tune-up games. And there was a lot of that going on around the area. But we were in Bascom. Our crew was. And then you guys were here in Tiffin.
Yep.
So talk about the game you guys were at, because I wasn't there. And you guys said one kid in particular balled out.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about the Klaus boy. Billy Klaus was unbelievable that game on both sides of the ball. And I know Greg can back me up on this, but some of his catches, they had to be like 30-plus yards, and it was right with the defender in his face in traffic, and you didn't think he would pull down the ball, and next thing you know, Billy gets up and he's got the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he averaged 31-point-something yards a catch in that game. And, yeah, no kidding. We talked about it during the broadcast, how him and the quarterback were just working so well together, high pointing the ball. He was putting it right where it needed to be, right where only Billy could get it. And he said in the post-game interview with us, we've been practicing that. We worked together a lot. And I was like, yeah, I could tell, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell that was something that they've been working on in the offseason. And I saw it in the first game. When we were there for the first game, and it was Calvert Mohawk, you could see there was a connection there. And Billy Klaus was one of those guys, I mean, you think about it, he had to sit behind some really talented players last year. You talk about Nolan Beaker, you talk about Blake Ronsky. They had some tall wide receivers, and Jackson Sizelove, who was operating out of the slot. 3 guys that were in front of him that were all seniors and taking playing time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was kind of hard for him to crack that lineup, but now him being, I think this is his senior campaign now, correct? Junior or senior. I know this is a young team, so there's not many seniors on the team, but he had to bide his time. He had to wait for his opportunity, and when it came,
It really came.
Wow. So 10 catches. This is his season stats so far. 10 catches, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 21 yards per catch.
And I could believe it.
You guys said he averaged 30 yards a catch the other night?
Yeah, it was like 31 yards a catch.
That's unreal. So, and it was the way he was doing it, though. That was impressive, though, right?
It was.
High-pointing.
Yeah, they weren't easy
anything-
catches at all.
No, it was defender in his face, and he had to work to get the ball, and he made it look easy out there.
Well, once again, he was the MST player of the game, correct?
Yes, he was.
Oh, yeah.
MST
Well
Sauce
deserved.
Company player of the game, Billy Klaus for week 2, Jacob Rumback for week 1. 2 Calvert players.
It was so hard because Jacob had a really great game as well.
Yeah.
Against
Well, his season stats now, he's at 28 carries, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's averaging about 7.5 yards a carry. So he's another one of those guys that they lean on when they need a big play.
That's moving the ball.
Exactly. They've got a lot of different playmakers on this team that they're going to go as far as they take them.
Both sides, too, because the defense was amazing. Even if Monroeville had a gain, Calvert would push them right back. And they would not let Monroeville do anything. And I can't think of the name right now, but 34 for Calvert. Gage Herring. He was a huge threat this past Friday night, and he had a monster game. And Billy as well. He had a good stretch of consecutive tackles, making big plays, no gains.
It's a nice shot of him there, our player of the week, player of the game.
Of course, if you missed the broadcast, especially the first half, we had some technical difficulties. We were still streaming, but it wasn't going to the right place. So we fixed it at halftime. We got everything sorted out. If you want to watch the matchup in its entirety, if you missed any of those highlight reel catches from Billy Klaus and the rest of the Tiffin Calvert Senecas as they put it all on display, check out the Heart of Ohio Sports X stream. That's right. Find it on YouTube, Heart of Ohio Sports X-stream. That's how you find the alternative channel.
Yeah, and go back, watch that first half.
It was a great first half.
Just see how Calvert dominated from the kickoff.
Yeah.
They jumped up. I read that they got up to their 28-0 lead again at half. Last year, Monroeville came back.
Yeah.
I believe they tied it, and then Calvert got the field goal. This year, Calvert is in the same position, 28-0, and they did what they had to this year and won the game 35-6, I believe it was.
So they took care of business.
Yes, they did.
I tell you, that was an exciting first half to watch. I'm not going to lie. I was there. I called the game, and I've probably went back and watched it 2 or 3 times since then.
First quarter, it was what, Greg? It was 20-0 or 22-0?
It was
by 3 scores.
They went up
quarter.
3 scores on them for sure, and
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was one that we were watching on the score stream, and as the score kept going up, I'm like, man, they're tuned up right now.
Yeah.
The Calvert team looks like a completely different team from last year. Am I right, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
You and I watched that team last year on multiple occasions. This year, they look so much more focused. They look more disciplined.
Dialed in.
It just feels like the energy is there that we missed last year.
And I think the communication has been a huge role as well. 'Cause as long as, communicating with the guys and supporting them, that can go a long way. You're a dangerous team if you got all that.
Absolutely. So, once again, big win for Tiffin Calvert. They move on. They're 2-0 now on the season.
Well-deserving 2-0.
And they're going to probably face one of their toughest tests of the season coming up this week, and we will not be there. Unfortunately. Folks, one, we couldn't get any answer back from the AD. So I've been trying to. This whole road teams are not friendly to us. Let's just say that. I'll just be honest. These road teams are not being very friendly to us because, well, we're providing a free service and they don't want it. They don't want the free service because, well, they are already providing a service like it that they're trying to charge for, and they don't like the fact that we're giving it out for free. I have nothing for them, but the other reason why we can't be there for the Norwalk game, honestly, folks, that's a long drive for some of us to make, and to be able to be there, to get there on time, to get everything set up, to make sure that everything's tested and ready to go.
Yep.
That's a really tall task for us to be able to make that trip and make it there on time with our full crew. We would probably be able to do it with partial crew at least until about midway through the first quarter, second quarter. But that's not how we like to operate. We don't want people getting there late. We want to provide the best possible production that we can provide. So for this week, we've decided that it's in our best interest to stick a little closer to home. And so we're staying a little bit closer to home with our matchups. And I feel like, we're just these confines that we try to stick to are a little bit more friendly to us. Let's just say that.
Yep.
So this weekend, we will not be able to cover Calvert versus Norwalk St. Paul, but that's probably the matchup of the week.
Year to year, they fight each other like no other.
And it's one of those games that every year, it doesn't matter what the other team's record is. Calvert's coming in 2-0, Norwalk St. Paul 0-2.
Yeah, surprisingly.
this will be the first time in 30 years, if they lose this game, that they have started out 0-3.
That's
Did you hear that,
ridiculous.
Greg?
Wow.
Norwalk St. Paul. You know all about John Livengood and that program.
I mean,
that they've established over there. But that, I mean, when I heard that stat from someone the other day, it kind of blew my mind.
with you.
They're
That-
0-2, and it'll
yeah.
be the first time if Calvert wins that they'll go 0-3 to start the season in 30 years.
That is insane.
That's a model of consistency. That's
Yeah,
what
just
you want in a program.
it just speaks to the winning culture that they have over there for at least the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's just that's going to be your matchup of the week probably in this area. Calvert 2-0, carrying that 2-0 record in there, going on the road in a hostile environment, facing an 0-2 Norwalk St. Paul team who is, by all means, probably licking their wounds right now, and they're probably really chomping at the bit for an opportunity to get out here and take care of business against Tiffin Calvert. Because
Yeah.
they lost to a very tough Huron team, 41-7 to start
Yeah,
the season.
Huron's crazy.
And then Ontario, they lost last week, and that one on the road. So this is their first home game of the year, and it comes against a 2-0 Calvert team. So their first three opponents are 6-0 combined right now
Wow.
going into this game against Calvert. But this is a game that I wouldn't say records don't mean anything in week 3.
No.
But don't look at this one on paper and think, okay, Norwalk's 0-2, Calvert's 2-0. Calvert should win this one.
Nope, not.
I caution you to wait till you see both teams play on the field, because that Norwalk St. Paul team, they're always tough.
Yes,
They're
they are.
always physical. They may not be very big. I heard from a Calvert parent over the weekend that the biggest kid they have on their Norwalk St. Paul team is 220 pounds.
Really?
But I know for a fact that offense they run, the style of play, the discipline, that team is the most physical, undersized team you'll ever play.
I agree.
So that's going to be a matchup for Calvert this week. It's going to be probably the matchup of the week in this area, just looking at all the other matchups. But
Like I said, for how the past battles have been between those two schools, it should make up for a great game
absolutely.
on Friday night. But one question for you real quick.
All right.
How is your stream over there in Hopewell?
All right, so the Chieftains took care of business. Let me just say, Hayden Welly, my God. You stand next to that guy. Eric was standing next to him on the sideline, and I'm like, who's the high schooler?
He's a big boy.
Jeez, man,
Yeah.
that kid is a man. He
He's
really is. He's standing on the sideline. He's all man and a yard wide. And you watch him just bounce off of tackles. It takes 4 or 5 guys to bring him down on every play. And now teams are loading up the box because they know with a young quarterback, they're not going to be able to throw the ball deep. So they're loading that box up. Now, Evan Kreese has done a pretty damn good job over these first couple games of making defenses pay for not respecting him.
yes.
But I will say, defenses are loading that box and they're looking out for Hayden Welly. And so his average per carry's gone down a little bit here to start the season. But this is a guy that, as the season goes on, as the game goes on, he wears on other teams, and he's just going to wear on everybody in this area. He's
Yep.
going to be one of those.
I think we might have our guest. I'm not sure if he hears us or not.
Well, hopefully he's not sideways.
And he looks like he might be sideways.
Yep.
Sideways, I got it fucking.
See, okay,
Hold
hold
it
on.
up.
Let me see something here quick. We can't hear him.
Huh.
He's talking. I think we're gonna have to plug the road into your speakers.
Oh.
Sideways,
Well,
I
that's
got-
probably what's going to have to happen.
Because I think it's the audio's going. His audio's going into this.
There you go.
Huh.
To be recorded. So
Well, that's
see if we can get something going.
I haven't said shit.
perhaps.
Whoa. All right. Whoa. I gotta turn this back up too.
Production at its finest, folks. You're
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
it right here. Why we got a glitchy camera here?
I don't know. That's the Mevo.
Oh, that one's fun.
Let's see.
But no, exciting first week of football.
Yes.
Hopewell out and took care of business. Mohawk they're struggling, man. They're struggling to find an identity early in the season. And, they've got a young quarterback, Ben Bognert's trying to find his footing. It's going to be a struggle for them initially because, they lost a lot last year. They had a big senior class.
Yep.
And it's going to be hard for them to replace some of those guys. So this year's going to be interesting for Mohawk. I'd like to see how they figure things out.
And I'm going to go back to this like I talked about Calvert. Communication, being there for one another, because especially the game against Calvert, and I don't know if you noticed it, but it seems like that sideline is crickets.
Who's that?
Like
For
the team,
Mohawk?
for Mohawk, they're not cheering for one another. It's just kind of a quiet type of setting, and I mean that's obviously shown so far, and then.
Well, hey.
Hey, we're gonna hear
got
some
our
music.
guest.
Uh-oh, hopefully we don't get flagged for that. It was 3 seconds. It's all
Can we hear
right.
Tommy yet?
We got Tommy?
I can hear Connor babbling about
I can't hear him.
I don't know why we don't hear
quiet
him.
sidelines.
I don't know. It's odd.
Try this.
Yay.
Hey, there he is. I just heard him.
Yeah, say something again, Tommy.
Hey, there he goes. Turn it to the PDA one.
That's what I meant to click on. My bad. All right, say something now.
Say something now.
Hey, there we go.
Now,
Yes.
I don't know for sure if it's going into the recording or not, so.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
Find out.
Well, one way to find out.
Well, let's just watch our stream.
Dog, I'm just holding its head.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on, we're live.
it's been a while since we've done a.
Well, I got to make sure you're hearing it. I got to make sure the audio's going through the actual video before we actually proceed with this.
Been a minute
'cause-
since we've done the Zoom, and
Yeah, this Zoom stuff does not work well.
and
There we go. Hang on, let me make sure we hear Tommy.
Yep. Here, say something again, Tommy.
Say something again. This is Homer Simpson saying, what's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear it.
His is kind of
It's
quiet.
something.
He's kind of quiet. Tommy is.
not really sure why. It's probably just picking him up.
That would be my guess. It's
Yeah.
probably picking him up through that speaker.
picking me up?
So yeah, Tommy, we were there for week 1 or week 2, I should say. Week 1, we were there for week 1 too, but week 2, Hopewell Loudon, Mohawk. What were your impressions from that game? I mean, you talk about the Chieftains coming away from last year with that big senior class, all those big hog mollies they had down low in the trenches, trying to replace some of those guys, and then trying to replace that senior quarterback, Ashton Bohr. Evan Crease got some big shoes to fill this year. I thought he looked pretty good on Friday night.
I think it's one of those things where you try not to put the cart before the horse. Last year, Hopewell Loudon in their 2021 campaign really came up against a buzzsaw. And when you get to that point in that state semifinal area, you kind of see where you really fit in the lay of the land, especially at that division. Hopewell Loudon, they came out against state defending champion Cary, and you're trying to see what this squad really was about in the 2022 campaign. Cary dispatching Hopewell Loudon in a big way really can shake the psyche. I thought in week 2, Hopewell Loudon came out a little more polished as Mohawk just kind of unraveled as they continue to find their identity. The first week, they did a little bit of swapping out with the quarterback position. They had Bogner and the other kid sharing time. Week 2 is strictly Bogner, and I just think it's one of those games where one of those teams are trying to find their identities. Mohawk definitely still trying to see what their footprint will be on this campaign, but I think Hopewell Loudon, they're ready for a run. It's just about getting all the moving parts working together and gelling as one. And like we talked about on the program, we saw that gel process kind of underway with Coach Calatrulio and Hopewell Loudon.
I could back that up. And two, I mean, Yeah, for all the seniors you lost from that great run last year, you've got all the underclassmen and this group's seniors this year. They were very active in the role getting to the state playoffs, into the semifinals. So there's still some big players on that team that can make them potentially go for a really good run again. And like you said, Tuesday, now that they won in a good way, maybe they can feed that off and that'll look a lot better from here on out for them.
I mean, you just don't get to the state semifinal by luck. So I know this has been a long time coming for this program.
Yeah.
But we just in the same vein with Carey. I mean, we thought a lot of loss to graduation, big bell cow running back to put a bruising runs on opposing teams in that 2021 campaign. But Carey looked like they hadn't missed a beat. They definitely play with tenacity. That defense that they have, that's the thing to look out for in the state, and it's going to be interesting again to see how Carey continues to carry on. And no pun intended, but both those squads, I think they're looking prime for a pretty good run.
Oh, for sure. And this is a team, they've been there. This coaching staff's been there. The team now has been there. They've got some experience within that group. That's a team that you got to keep your eye on as the season goes on. They could be a team that might make a deep playoff run again. You never know.
You never know.
Especially, after that week 1 loss to Carey, what if they are the Carey Blue Devils of this year, where they take that beating and they take that and turn it into positive reinforcement for the rest of their season? You never know. So I'm looking forward to it.
Bums like Clyde that are able to squeak into the state championship.
Exactly.
For record. I mean, anything can happen in this division.
Yes.
Exactly. So, Chieftains look like they've got their stuff together. Mohawk looks like they've still got some things to figure out. With Mohawk this week, Chieftains have got hope, or they've got Fostoria this week. Now, that's a game that we thought about covering, Tommy. You and I talked about that one just because it's on the road. It's at that new field turf over there at Kidwell Field. And that might be an interesting game, Tommy. How do you feel about it? What's your feeling process on that? Because Fostoria gave Seneca East all they could handle.
Oh, yeah.
I think in the era of open enrollment, a lot of schools have suffered because of that. And in some respects, at one point in the Fostoria that I know, 2-time state champions, 1996, just a tremendous run with the Hyde brothers there in the early 2000s. And to see what that program has really struggled to get back on track. Now the community's reinvested in the school. You've seen a lot of downtroddenness for Fostoria. The closing of St. Gwendolyn. At one point they were playing 8-man football there at the end as they were circling the drain. So with this new breath of fresh air and the new field, you hope that can kind of turn things around, start growing that community a little bit more over in Fostoria. But, due to open enrollment, you just got to flat out say a lot of this talented kids that go in that Seneca County, Wood, and Hancock County area, some of those guys got choices to go to more efficient programs right now, like a Hopewell Loudon or some of these smaller schools.
Yep.
That, you really can make a big run. So, it's nothing against Fostoria. I just think Fostoria is trying to rebrand, rebuild, and trying to get back to the Fostoria of old. And, when you play a team like Hopewell Loudon, there's great community buzz, but, I mean, at the same time, 15 years ago, this would have been a slog.
Yeah. But this is one of those games, I think the Fostoria Redmen have this game circled on their calendar. Do you think maybe this one might mean a little bit more to Derek Kidwell?
I think so.
Oh, absolutely. You have to, you have to make that statement. You have to let the community know that, we got a good program going on over here. Good things are happening. We're on the mend. We're on the turnaround. Not that it ever was, but, just like we talked about, the economy, everything else that you could poke at over there in Fostoria, have been little reasons why, we're not the same Fostoria of old. I think Fostoria, has a chance to continuously build that brand back up and get back to the traditional ways.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at that Fostoria Hopewell Loudon matchup. That's a good one, but one that we're going to be at this week, Tommy. I'm looking at this Seneca East Willard matchup. Now, on paper, a lot of people are saying, why are you guys covering Seneca East and Willard? Well, first of all, we love Seneca East and that community that we have over there. Got a lot of support from Tiger Nation. But also, do you have any idea how many points Willard's put up in their first 2 games, Tommy? 120 points over 2 games.
They are rolling.
They just came off a 77-35 win over Plymouth, and they had a week 1 44-43 loss to South Central.
Oh,
so this is a Willard Flashes team that's putting up some points here in the early going.
That's crazy.
This might be a slobber knocker we got brewing over here in Attica.
Yeah, I don't think any leads unsafe in that one, as Seneca East came back in a big way to get back in their game this past week at week 2.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they did the same thing in week 1. Their first 2 wins are comeback wins, They were down, 24-0 in that game against Northwood? So
yeah, Northwood was a big deficit.
So big time.
Coach Ed Phillips, you can't ever count him out in the game, regardless of what squad he has. But, he's going to come in each and every year, and their Seneca East squad is going to be ready to fight and eat their pack of lunch if you're going to play that mental chess game against Coach Ed Phillips.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just like a Hopewell and Fostoria game. There's 2 schools that are right beside each other, just miles down the road.
Exactly. So, you look around the area. Week 2 was a lot of blowouts, Tommy. We talked about that. Connor and I talked about it a little bit before you came on the program. We're looking ahead. Week 3, there's a couple decent games on the schedule here. And we're looking at this Tiffin Columbia and River Valley game. You got a matchup between Tiffin Columbia at 1-1. River Valley coming into this one at 2-0, coming off a win against Madison Comprehensive. They got a week 1 win against Upper Sandusky. What's your feel-out process on this one, though, Tommy? I mean, I feel like this is one that Tiffin Columbia might see that 2-0 record, and that doesn't mean anything to them. They're coming into this one. They got some red in their eyes.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if they did their scouting on Archie and Jughead and the rest of the Riverdale group, because this is a team that I'm unfamiliar with. What'd you say? Who is it again?
The River Valley Vikings out of Caledonia, Ohio.
River Valley. I thought it was Riverdale. Hang on, Riverdale. No, again, unfamiliar opponent. You never know what you're going to get out of that. I mean, Coach Judless and his team, they're going to always be up to the task. They're going to do their film study. They're going to be ready for it. Sometimes it's better to dance with the devil you know than the one you don't. And with River Valley riding a 2-game win streak, that really starts feeding into the psyche, feeding into the mind, especially going on a road game against an unknown opponent. So this is definitely a chance for River Valley to send a shot out in the area, but also continue their winning ways and build on the momentum they've already had for the first 2 weeks.
For sure. So that's our week 3 matchups, Columbia and River Valley. That'll be the X stream this week. And then Seneca East versus Willard will be on the Adrenaline stream. So those are your 2 matchups here in Heart of Ohio Sports this week in week 3 of high school football. We also have some more football coming for you this week, as this week is the debut of Heidelberg football right here on the Pulse of the Buckeye State, as we will be live at Herneman Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff this Saturday night. It's a beautiful facility, and I just can't be more excited about this because, I mean, I've been chomping at the bit to get at it with this Heidelberg stuff. Now we've got these first 2 high school football games under our belt. We've got some of the kinks worked out. Now I feel like our production going into this week 3 high school football season, this is going to be, we're going to be at the top of our game going into this one. It makes me feel good.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely excited to get on board with the tricolor. It's one of those things where, behind the scenes, Heidelberg has always been so supportive, not only of our coverage, but also keeping up with the coverage to keep their eye on local players in the area. And, we try our best to highlight the best athletes. So guys like Coach Donaldson can see these highlighted players, make his job all that much more easier. And we can't thank Heidelberg enough for their support. That's why, again, tomorrow night out there at Benchwarmers,
that's right,
Coach Scott Donaldson stopping by, talk about Berg football and what we can expect in that huge night game against Adrian to kick off the 2022 campaign for Heidelberg. Scott Donaldson out there on the I was going to revert to it all day. We haven't come up with a name for the bullpen.
The bullpen. Out on the bullpen patio. There we go.
I haven't exactly got the copyrights on all my shit back from the other shows. We're still working on that.
Oh, that's good stuff. But no, I'm excited about that one. We hadn't announced that one yet, but that's tomorrow night. Coach's Corner, once again, live at Benchwarmer, 6:30 with Scott Donaldson, this week's special guest, as he's filling in. I'm excited. This is going to be a great week for football. Not just high school football, but football in general, because not only do we have Heidelberg college football, but we got some exciting college football matchups on the schedule. D1. Tommy, let's talk about this one.
Do we want to?
We got a top 5 matchup between 2 top 5 teams.
Whew.
And I know we got 2 Buckeye fans and 2 Notre Dame fans here. So let's talk about this one. What's the thought process going into this, guys? Like, how do you feel as Notre Dame fans?
The thought process that I had is, God, I was really jealous when I seen some of the promotion for the OSU Notre Dame game, because they were showing some throwback programs from the 30s where the artwork on there was just damn incredible. I felt underwhelmed. I was like, shit, they didn't have the Photoshops and everything else to come up with this stuff. So that was kind of endearing to, highlight that again, because that program that they had shown for the preview for that matchup was actually the last time that Notre Dame had beat Ohio State in its history. So, I mean, we're talking, we went through a World War, Vietnam, September 11th, the Reagan administration, the fall of the Berlin Wall, anything that you could pretty much think about in modern history. All of that's happened since the last time Notre Dame beat Ohio State. And coming in number 5, no more of this Chip Kelly, sandbagging shit. I think the Notre Dame's coming in with a new attitude. They got some great recruits. They got some great people coming out, returning players. That defense is pugnacious. They're coming in number 5. And I just think this Ohio State squad, they highlight that offense as much as the top in college football. But, week 1 is all that going to be there for the Buckeyes, especially on the biggest stage, especially week 1. I think it's about just due that the Irish come in the shoe and lay the wood and smack some heads up with the shillelaghs, because I think it's far too due. And I think Notre Dame's back on the rise.
You think they are? Do you like the Marcus Freeman hire? Was that a good hire? You think that was a good hire for the program?
I think Notre Dame actually finds themselves in that precarious position, just like Ohio State did with Coach Ryan Day. You didn't know what you were getting with Coach Day.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
At one point, they're talking about a Notre Dame squad under Chip Kelly that had lost, 8? Well, him and Charlie Wise. I mean, you're talking at one point there was a streak there where they had lost 9 or 12 bowl games in a row.
Yeah,
and that kind of happened last year. I guess was it Notre Dame and Baylor that played in the bowl game?
I believe so.
I think that one was a shootout. But again, it's for to come out after Chip Kelly kind of leaves you hanging. I think he's really taken over, and the squad, the program's really believes in this guy. It'll be interesting. A lot of people are saying that Ohio State is not if they're going to beat Notre Dame, but by how much. I think that's kind of the wrong attitude to come into with this one, considering you can't even beat Michigan.
Ooh!
Ouch! Ouch!
Damn!
Went there.
Okay, all right. Well,
went there.
The fighting words.
They are fighting words.
When they whooped on you.
Oh man.
Number 5.
I think
5 in the nation. That's no chance there.
I'm just saying. I think going into that game, a lot of Ohio State fans were nervous. I think a lot of Ohio State fans knew that there was a chance that could be the one that they could get, because it was in Michigan. They were playing with house money. They didn't have anything to play for really, but they did they'd say in the conversation, and they wanted to be. There was a lot of seniors on that team that had never tasted victory against that team. And they talked about the rivalry, and it's like, it's not a rivalry if you can't win.
Right.
So that game, whatever. It's done. It's over. You got to put it behind you if you're a Buckeyes fan. If you're a Buckeyes player, that's not even in your thought process. You're facing Notre Dame. You're facing the Golden.
Well, seeing everything so
that's
far.
That's what you're focused on right now. And I don't know. This is a game that on paper you look at it, and I mean, you're right. Most Buckeye fans would probably say they should mop the floor with Notre Dame. I don't see it that way. I see it as this is going to be one of those really good week 2, week 1 games in college football that's going to go back and forth. You're going to see a shootout. You're going to get a shootout both ways.
Think it's one. Yeah, absolutely. I think for as strong as Notre Dame's offense or defense is, their offense might be playing catch up most of that game, and it's going to come down to the last wire. I mean, as much as I want Notre Dame to win, I'm thinking that Ohio State may be able to squeak past this one just with the surefire. You can't get in a shootout with Ohio State and Chris Olave. Like, it's just not something Notre Dame can do. So, I mean, realistically, I find the score probably being like a 42-35, something like that. Maybe in Ohio State favor, but Notre Dame, if they can hold Ohio State to under 35 points or less, I think they'll be able to come out there with a win.
I think so too.
It's a good prediction.
That's pretty fair to say. I mean, if they can hold them under 35, I think Notre Dame's got a pretty damn good chance to win.
Because again, all you gotta do is win by one. You
That's
get
right.
the offense out there do enough for you. But again, if Ohio State just, you go out there, you shit the bed and allow them to score on you, and then you come out there and you have an empty series. That's a good way to get buried early by Ryan Day and that Ohio State team.
What I want to see is this. The Ohio State defense last year was one of the most atrocious things I've seen as a Buckeyes fan. The Silver Bullets are long
Notre
gone.
Dame's offense is pretty atrocious.
And I want to see if the changes that they made over the offseason, they went and got a new defensive coordinator. They got rid of Kerry Combs. They got rid of some of the guys that some Buckeye fans thought contributed to the defensive downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if any of these changes make a difference, because last year they had talent. They just couldn't figure out how to use it. It was kind of sad to see the talent on the defensive side of the ball being wasted the way that it was. But this year, I don't know. That first game is going to be a heck of a test.
Well, absolutely. And again, I come from a place of just a little bit of razz, and if you grow up in Ohio, especially if you grow up Roman Catholic, you are going to be pretty much on the side of Notre Dame and Ohio State. So watching this Ohio State team as long as I have, and being a fan of the Buckeyes with that, I've just been so amazed with what Ryan Day and this squad have been able to do, especially with the guys that they've actually drafted into the NFL that were actually good from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Still looking for that QB, but I think Notre Dame still is as well. It's
Well,
going to be interesting again.
we never really got a chance to see what Dwayne Haskins could have been. I guess he had a falling out in Washington, but there was some hope for him in Pittsburgh. There were people in Pittsburgh who thought he was going to be the guy that they'd turn it over to this year. And I don't know. I'm just saying, I know that they still are looking for that quarterback. They don't have a Joe Montana. They don't have a Rick Mirer either, though. So they have some guys that I feel like over the years have been put into shitty situations.
He just can't help himself.
But no, I mean, I think C.J. Stroud, going into last year, I didn't know if he was going to be the guy or not.
Right.
Honestly, I thought the guy who's now the Texas starting quarterback,
Yeah,
I thought
Quinn.
he was going to end up winning the job last year at some point. But C.J. really, after that first couple of games, boy, he put his foot down and kind of took over that job.
Going into last season, starting your first game without even throwing a college pass, and how last year went, and now going into this year as a Heisman favorite.
Well, and then that bowl game with him and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the way they went off in that bowl game, I mean, it gave a lot of Buckeye fans hope for this year. And I think that's why you see the lofty expectations and the big, the number 2 preseason ranking. People are picking them to win national championship. That's a big reason, is because they responded after that loss and came back and put an offensive display during that bowl game.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people thought after that, hey, Ohio State's back. They should be a perennial power again next year. That's something that I feel like is Fugazi because they were playing USC. I mean, I'm not reading into that at all. I think this year it's going to depend on the defense and it's going to depend on the running game more than it's going to depend on C.J. Stroud and Jackson Smith and Jigba, because I'll tell you why. Jackson Smith and Jigba is not going to have Chris Olave or
Garrett Wilson
to draw attention away from him. So while he is a spectacular talent, I'm waiting to see how much this passing game improves upon last year, because I don't think it's possible. After the way they put up the numbers that they did last year, I just don't see how they can get any better when you lose 2 first-round receivers.
I was gonna say the exact same thing, man. The thing is, like, what Ohio State, they're gonna be their own worst enemy like they usually are. And whether or not they come out and have that high-powered offense, I think against everybody else that you see, yeah. But once you get into the Bamas and that college football playoff scene, that's where the real test comes in. And man, I'm just glad they're not opening up the season against like an Akron or some other damn cupcake squad. But what a marquee matchup! I can't remember the last time I've been excited about college football week 1.
I know.
Something that sets the tone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Connor kind of highlighted some other games that might be interesting to watch this week, but that's the one. I mean, that's pretty obviously that's the one everybody's going to be watching. Cincinnati, Arkansas was another one I kind of saw. That's another top 25 matchup. 2 teams both in the top 25. Other than that, I mean, Utah, Florida.
I think
Utah
another
7, Florida unranked.
I think another one is Oregon at Georgia.
Georgia.
A 3 versus 11, but this is a statement game for Oregon as well, with a new head coach, as their coach went to Miami. So Oregon's got a new.
I want to talk about reloading. What about that Georgia squad?
Good God. What, they have 10 draft picks in the first 2 rounds?
Yeah.
10 or 11 draft picks in the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, it was something
and
crazy.
They're still top 3.
Yeah. Favored in that game by 17 against 11 Oregon.
Well, I think anytime an SEC team plays a team from the Pac-12 or 10 or whatever they're calling themselves now, they should be the favorite.
Right. I'm with you on that one.
Tell NBC to let us join the conference.
So that's pretty much your schedule for week 1 for college football.
Yeah, the big game was.
Big game.
We've got Utah State.
Yeah.
Woo, buddy.
Yeah, Alabama's favored by 42 against Utah State.
I mean, if you look at, I'm going to highlight Ohio State here, but if you look at their first 3 games, yeah, people are probably going to say, oh, well, it's Toledo or it's Arkansas State. We got to think, too, Toledo is a very, they're a good squad. They can pick a
They're
fight.
well
They
coached.
beat, yes, they
They're well
beat
coached.
Michigan. So
Yeah.
they can beat Division I school, Big Ten school. And Arkansas State, I'm seeing it as, Ohio State probably will have no problem, but they're a Southern team. They're going to have big boys.
How is Ohio State favored by 17, though, in that game?
And
Against Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
How are they
I
favored
think,
by 17 against Notre Dame? I just saw you pull that up, Greg, and I'm like, wait a second, really? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess
I don't
the prognosticators give no respect to Notre Dame.
I don't disagree with the forecast. It's just the X factors you can't account for, because if I look at this on paper, I do think, the way it's booked out, the way it plays out is, Ohio State, high-powered offense comes out. You're going to try to bury Notre Dame, like I talked about, with those empty possessions. You're going to get up by at least 2 scores. So, I mean, if the Ohio State D is able to hold up, I don't see that margin at all being outrageous or egregious. It's just that's how Ohio State's going to play this year. It's either you're not going to see too many games come down to the wire. They're either going to flatten people, or they're just going to shit the bed.
They got so 2 teams that stand out: Ohio State and Alabama, favored every single game this year, and favorited by double digits.
Wow.
Yep.
That's unreal. But that's what you're going to have.
It is.
You got a lot of top, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star recruits. Not very many 3-star, but a lot of 5 and 4-star recruits on that Ohio State team. That should be expected. They should be expected to be one of the top teams in the nation. Now it's up to Ryan Day and his coaching staff to live up to those expectations. Because to me, as a Buckeye fan, I have not been impressed with Ryan Day over the last 3 years. I'm sorry. I know he's kept the program afloat and kept us right where we're supposed to be. And there's been really not much of a drop-off. But as far as I'm concerned, Buckeyes should be competing for national championships every year. And under Ryan Day, we haven't got there. We haven't got a chance to, and it's to me, when I watch his game plan and I watch the way they play under him, they're not as motivated as they were in the past. Now, you could talk all you want about Urban Meyer and how he sucked it up in Jacksonville, but man, did that guy know how to motivate some college football players. Now, when I look at Ryan Day as an offensive play caller or an offensive coach, he's probably one of the most genius minds in college football. But when it comes down to being a head coach and managing a program, that's, to me, yet to be seen from him. I've yet to see him be the leader of that program that Urban Meyer was, that Jim Tressel was. He has yet to be that guy.
I think that's what kind of soured me on the Buckeyes over the past 15 years is, when I got the chance to play in college, when you're playing college football, you don't get to watch it. And that was around the time that tattoo scandal and everything was going on with Jim Tressel, and he was ousted and went over to Youngstown. I actually just recently watched that Youngstown Boys documentary. That's really good.
That's a great documentary.
They put that on Disney Plus along with a lot of other ESPN stuff. But regardless, after that, and then Urban Meyer coming in and just being a fan of Ohio State at that time, you're like, the guy from Florida, that's who we bring in, the Antichrist himself. He comes in, does his thing, it just kind of soured me on it. But man, like you talked about, he knows how to run a program, regardless of whether or not his stomach's upset one year or the next to get out of coaching. But you can't argue with results. Luke Fickell, stepping into his stead, I thought did a tremendous job. That wasn't
especially considering the circumstances that guy was under that year.
Oh, yeah.
My God. The fact that he kept them above water.
And look what he's done in Ohio now.
Yeah.
What he's doing to Cincinnati is insane.
Yeah, he's the coach of the decade in my estimation. But Ryan Day is Ohio State's had this hiccup along the road in the past 15 years, but it always feels like they really hadn't. The untrained eye is like they haven't skipped a beat, but you could tell they're kind of out of rhythm a little bit.
I see the offense with Ryan Day. It's been evident. Dwayne Haskins throwing for 50 touchdowns. The Justin Fields show, C.J. Stroud last year. Everything that he's done offensively, especially with the quarterback position and the wide receiver position, I've been impressed with. I've not been impressed with the defense whatsoever. Nope. And that, to me, is the calling card of a great Ohio State team is they will have a solid dynamite defense that helps to carry them through tough games. Because when you get into Big Ten play, you start playing cold weather football against teams that like to pound the ball like Iowa, Purdue. You got all these teams that they're not traditional teams in the sense of what you see now in college football. And when you get into those mix-up games, a lot of times they don't like to play muddy football. You know what I'm saying, Tommy? It's a pretty boy football. That's why when I saw that Michigan game last year, I was like, as soon as it started out, I knew what was going to happen. They're playing dirty, muddy football. Buckeyes don't play that. Buckeyes don't play dirty, rough football anymore like they used to. Under Urban Meyer, that was a dirty football team. They played some dirty, rough football. With Ryan Day, I haven't seen it yet. Now, I'm hoping that this defensive change will bring about some new energy, some new promise with this, but, I don't know. It's yet to be seen. So let's move on. I guess we kind of beat that dead horse as much as we can with the Ohio State thing. With what we've got coming up this weekend, high school football, Berg football, Obviously, no youth football this weekend. Labor Day weekend, Greggy. What are you going to do with yourself this weekend? Rest, recuperate.
Yeah.
Talk about that one yesterday, man. That was a rough one.
Oh my goodness, I legit think that I was moments away from having heat stroke out there. It
Good Lord.
was a rough one on them kids too. It
Yeah.
was a hot one yesterday.
Yeah. So, once again, this week's going to be a busy week for us. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Tommy?
Labor Day weekend is this Labor Day weekend coming up this weekend. We close out that great week of action here on Heart of Ohio Sports. You know, Berg football, college football coming to the stream on Saturday. And then as we progress and expand, like we talked about, Nate, it was fun getting to chop up and talk about some college football that isn't pertaining to our local coverage.
Right.
And, you know, it's going to be even better when we get to expand and start talking about some national football as the NFL season gets underway. And we're going to have some great hits coming up for that, too.
That should be fun. Tommy, you want to talk about the new show we got coming up? 2 weeks till the debut of, what's it called again?
Oh, The Last Call with Tommy Hall.
Yeah.
I have an after-hour podcast for after-hour folks. We'll probably film some stuff and put it in the can and then talk about it later on. And the follow of the Browns week 1 against Carolina. But to go with that, Nate, you know, we have teamed up, and the Bears Den here in Tiffin, Ohio has actually announced that they're going to be open on Sundays for NFL football. So that's going to be a new venture for them, and we're excited to come out there. So much so that Heart of Ohio Sports is going to be out there at the Bears Den to do a live remote, film some stuff for some content on Heart of Ohio Sports, even talk to you about that fantasy show. But regardless, we're going to have the Tiffin Browns backers out there, some raffles, giveaways, all sorts of good stuff going out there to kind of promote and spread the word that, hey, the Bears Den over there at Tiffin, Ohio, they're going to be open on Sundays. And I can't thank Gwen and Dennis enough for inviting us into the Bears Den to start this off on the right foot, man. It's exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be a good party.
Well, and they haven't been open on Sundays in how long, Tommy? It's been a long time since they've been open on a Sunday. So that's a big deal. We got them to kind of open the doors for us to do this. And I think, you know, this is the beginning of a beautiful partnership here between us and the Bears Den, because that's a great new venue with everything that he's done to improve that place, all the money he's put into there. I mean, that has become kind of the destination for Friday and Saturday nights, and now we're going to make it the destination for Sundays for pro football.
Yeah, it was nice to hear how receptive he was to the idea, because I was told, you know, they were thinking about opening up for Sundays, and he was kind of on the fence about it. I was like, well, what if we can, you know, kind of put the word out and, you know, make this thing something that is a common occurrence, that you can stay open on Sundays and, you know, make it a thing. And he, Dennis had told me that he was going to be on vacation this week, thinking that the NFL season started this Sunday. But then when I told him it's actually on September 11th, he was more than excited to be able to come out for the first one. He told me that he's going to have some new TVs out there as well for people to watch. So you're not going to be just watching it on some old tube TV. I mean, they got some great TVs out there, even on the back patio area. You know, it's all remodeled, all revamped, and he's just going to keep adding to the quality out there at the Bears Den. And man, what a fun venue that is! Just,
for sure.
Very close and personal place to me. I've been carried out of there many a times. Sometimes by my own choice.
But once again, that'll be next Sunday, the debut of the Browns backers at the Bears Den party. We'll call that the, what do we call it? The Bears Den tailgate? Is that what we're calling it?
Bears Den Brownies.
Bears Den Brownies
Bears
tailgate.
Den. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
So that'll be every Sunday. We're also talking about doing a fantasy football show, folks. A fantasy football breakdown before Sunday's broadcast. Possibly at Bears Den. We might be doing that at Bears Den. Maybe a 10 to 11 time slot, somewhere around in there, early morning.
Yeah.
Get in there, get a little bit of fantasy football talk about matchups that week, and then get right into it. Now, of course, the Bears Den Brownies tailgate thing, that's not going to be live, right, Tommy? We're going to be able to just do our own thing and hang out, maybe do some recorded stuff.
That's just for everyone to come on out. Don't be afraid that you're going to be on camera doing something crazy. We're going to be out there filming our own stuff. But the main thing, again, is just a community party. But, hey, we got Browns fans in the area. The Tiffin Browns back there are still going strong. And we're going to try to show up and show out there at the Bears Den to help promote a great community-minded business, great local business. It's been around since the early 70s. So, again, I just can't say enough about Gwen and Dennis over there at the Bears Den. They've just always been tremendous.
Oh, for sure. They're great people.
Family.
Yeah, absolutely. Always have. They're great people, and it's great to be able to be in partnership doing business with them. So excited about that partnership. Excited about new things coming up down the pipe here at Heart of Ohio Sports. Tommy, anything else you want to talk about here before we let you go? Because we were getting up on an hour in this podcast here, and I know you probably got some stuff you got to take care of before you hit the hay.
Yeah, I got to fix my central air. It's on the reset, so
That's fun.
hopefully it's good to go. But no, we just wanted to come on here, kind of get the word out about the Brownies, the Bears Den Brownies tailgate with the Tiffin Browns back there. That's September 11th out there at the Bears Den. That party starts at noon. It's going to be a huge week one for the Browns against Carolina. You know, some no love lost there. And the Browns tried to break that terrible tradition and record of 17 openers without a win. Let's see if we can break that and do it cheering our asses off over there at the Bears Den on that September 11th night.
Tommy, I got to ask you something before I let you go. So I found a story on here, and I wanted to ask you if maybe you might know this kid or something. So 6-year-old regularly given Smirnoff Ices says it helps him sleep, Ohio sheriff says. This is an Ohio story I wanted to talk to you about. Listen to this shit. So the first time deputies found this boy, he was holding an open Smirnoff in his hand. Mom says, "Oh, I didn't realize he grabbed one of my drinks," so they just let her go, whatever. Later on down, so they did a little bit of an investigation. They go to the gas station to do a welfare check after the gas station called. This was the first incident. Boy comes running towards them with an open Smirnoff Ice. He says, "Do you know your son's running around inside the store?" She says, "Yeah, but I didn't realize he grabbed one of my Smirnoffs. I just bought these from the store, blah, blah, blah." They gave him, just warned her of the possible consequences and told him to pay closer attention to her kid. They sent him on their way, Well, then they go back to the store, and that convenience store says, "No, we want them people banned from the store. We don't ever want them in the store again." So the sheriff goes to the child's the address of where they found the child, and they found the child with another open Smirnoff Ice riding a scooter in the trailer park unsupervised. When asked,
I think you ending that story with a trailer park is pretty much sums it up.
So I'm just like, I can't understand what's going on. So I'm reading this story, and it turns out the woman wasn't actually the child's mother. It was actually just a friend of the family, and she moved in a couple weeks before that, and we're just trying to help her out because she's been going through hard times. So she basically was letting this kid drink because she didn't want to babysit the kid because, hey, it helps her sleep.
I can't imagine why she's having a hard time.
I'm reading this story, and I'm like, is this going on over at Highland or what the? All right, we're done. We're done here. All right, so I just had to ask you about that one. I thought that was pretty damn funny. Thanks again, Tommy. I appreciate your time, man.
No problem. I'll catch you on down the road for week 3.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy.
Seneca East and Willard.
That's going to be
RATS, rats.
That is going to be a slobber knocker. Thanks again, Tommy. All right, once again, Tommy Hall, our media. I'd say he holds a lot of different hats.
He does.
He's kind of our marketing guy. Helps out with marketing.
Yep.
With the posters and all the stuff that he does. But, mainly we know him as the voice, the one-liner king. I got to come up with some Motorcycle Maven's a good one, but like there's got to be some kind of because he's got so many one-liners and everybody's like, that's what they know him for. I was talking to somebody not long ago and they were talking about listening to us on the broadcast and they're like, I count every time how many one-liners he has in a broadcast. And the great thing is they're never the same. It's always he's got something new queued up. So
That's funny.
but no, thanks again to Tommy for coming on. Thanks to Greg for making it happen. I mean, that was kind of during the interview production process. I got to watch all that happen. That was kind of fun.
Wild.
Yeah, we got to figure that out for sure, how we get all these things looped together. But like I said, it's been a minute since we've done a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And everything was in its permanent spot then, so everything was hooked up right. Now we're kind of just like last minute, we'll figure it out, though.
Yeah, well, things are moving along. As far as the studio's concerned, folks, we have the control room almost finished. It's starting to get put back together now. So the paint's done. The desk is done. Now it's just moving stuff back in, hooking stuff back up inside the control room. That's not the studio, though. The back studio, I don't know how long that's going to be. I hope that it won't be very much longer, but I can't guarantee anything. So I'm not saying anything as far as a time frame because now there's some grants involved and there's a whole process and it's just not going to be fun. So I just don't want to say for sure a date and then not have it come through. So I'm just going to say for now, we're getting the control room put back together. We're starting to put together the sound booth, and then hopefully we will move some of this stuff out of my wife's studio and be able to give her some of her space back.
We're getting there slowly.
Slowly but surely. Hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Progress takes steps. That's what I always say. Progress is made in steps.
Right.
So, once again, thank you for tuning in here on the Pulse Podcast. Thanks to Greg Kinn for keeping us on the air and keeping all the graphics going, and keeping us jealous of those MST dry rub.
I wish I had a bag right now.
Man, those are so good, folks. If you haven't had any, the Ball Rights MST dry rub chips, probably the best flavor they have going right now.
You'll be hooked on it.
I've only heard one person so far say they didn't like them, and they said they were too spicy.
Ooh.
But I don't see the spice. Greggy said he was sweating eating some earlier.
They have some kick, but they're definitely not too spicy.
It's got a tingle. I like to say they have a tingle. It tingles your tongue,
But to be honest, Nate, I really do think that is the best flavor, and that's not a biased thing that I'm saying just because I like Chase and Madison Street. Like, I waited till I tried them for myself before I started running my mouth about how good they were, and man, they are legit the best flavor.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for the family size bags now.
Well, I will say the next size bag is going to be a smaller bag because from what I understand, inflation's hitting people. Inflation is hitting at the grocery store, especially. You see it, especially at the grocery store. Have you noticed how much a big bag of chips is now? You can't find a big bag of chips for less than $5, for real. And the Ball Rights ones, obviously, they do the full pound bag. They're just saying not many people are buying them anymore. They have to charge what they got to charge to make money off of them.
Right.
And because inflation's hitting home, not many people are buying those big bags. So they're not making as many of the big bags as they used to. They're selling more of the smaller bags now because, people just... They would rather have the smaller bags.
I was gonna say they better not go any smaller than that because they got enough trouble keeping those in stock. So
well, the reason they go smaller than that is so that they can fit them in vending machines. That's the next step.
Gotcha.
So the next step is the vending machines and all the distribution to the bigger stores because they're already in Kroger. Now they're talking about bigger stores. And when we talk about bigger stores, then we talk about possibly being able to retire.
Yeah. There we go.
I mean, hopefully Chase doesn't ever retire, at least not soon. But, I mean, the way these chips are flying off the shelves, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
It is crazy. We were trying to wrap up the show. And we just got on this tangent about chips.
They're delicious.
I was about ready to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And then you just put them chips up, and it's like, hey, let's talk for 5 minutes about chips.
Hey, man. If I'm gonna sit here and do this work, I gotta have some delicious snackies.
I do have delicious snackies here as well. There's one thing that we could do before we wrap things up, or we could wait and save this for a later podcast, but I kind of want to do this soon. Just so they don't go bad, but I have the test here. We have Little Debbie's Swiss rolls.
Okay.
We have Aldi's Swiss rolls. We're going to tell, blind taste test, which one's better.
Yes.
I'm serious. I want to do this because I guarantee that when you try both of them, you will tell me with a blindfold on, and you don't know which one's which, you will tell me the Aldi's one's better.
That's the thing.
I guarantee
is
it.
I will probably agree with you, but I will also know which one's which. Like, I'll know which one's which.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever had the Aldi's one.
I'm just being honest, folks. This is a topic.
They're really
of
good.
Heated debate. And these are my favorite. Chelsea knows, everybody knows, I prefer the Aldi brand. And I'm not, usually, I prefer Cheez-Its, the extra toasty Cheez-Its, like the brand name. I prefer Doritos over the Aldi's chips, but these smack, I'm telling you. They're just way better than Little Debbie's. And I don't know what Little Debbie has done lately, but every time I've ever gotten a pack of these lately,
they taste
the
really
chocolate
bland.
starts to fall off. They're kind of stale.
It's like they cheaped out on them or something.
I feel like they froze them and then thaw them out. Maybe that's just me. That's what it feels like.
I've always remembered, like, as a kid, like, peeling the chocolate off, eating it just in weird ways. But, like, yeah, legit, like, you'll open them and they just fall apart.
They fall apart.
And there's
that's
no reason
not
for that to be
legit
happening.
to me. And
that's Dollar Tree stuff right there.
And they kind of taste stale to me lately. Like the Swiss rolls. And what was the other one that I had? The zebra cakes. Zebra cakes for me have gone downhill so much over the last couple of years. Now, I will say this. I do not like the bigger Little Debbie snacks. Like the big ones. I like the small ones. I would much rather get a big box of the small size ones and eat 10 oatmeal cream pies than
those
to
big,
get
like,
a big box
double-deckers
full of
and
the
whatever.
double-decker ones. It's just too much. The ratio's off. It's just too much for me.
Have you tried the Aldi's brand of, like, the Nutty Bars?
Oh.
They're actually pretty good, too.
Do you know what else is really good? The Aldi brand of they have, like, so it's their version of Girl Scout cookies, the tag-alongs. Have you ever had tag-alongs? Where they have, like, the chocolate cookie and the peanut butter and then covered in
those are really
chocolate.
good.
Yes.
The Aldi brand ones are better than Girl Scout
Scouts.
cookies, and they're $1 a box. It's like,
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
That's the main thing about these snacks is, like, for the price, they cannot be beat.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. They don't taste exactly the same as what you're used to, but some of this stuff, honestly, I think tastes better. But maybe it's just because I got used to it because I'm like, I'm not spending $5 on a box when I can spend $2 on this. You know?
Yeah.
So this is for another day. I think we're going to do this one another day because I want to do a blindfold taste test to determine. And Eric was the one that was talking mad shit about this. So Eric has to come on this podcast. Eric is the one that challenged me on this and said, I refuse to believe this. So, Eric, I got them both.
Let's go,
It's your
Eric.
challenge this week sometime.
Get
Come in
out
the
here.
studio because they ain't going to be as fresh if you wait longer than a week. So,
Let's roll.
let's get it done. Once again, that's going to wrap things up, right? Or we got another 10-minute tangent we want to go on.
Yeah,
here.
I was
I
just
think
thinking
those-
about how from the moment I walked in and saw those up there on that water cooler, I was like, "Oh, Swiss rolls." Eric, get down here.
Get down here, Eric. Come on. We got to make this happen sometime this week. I even offered before Wednesday's podcast. Joey has his over-under pod coming up this Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something that has to be live. We can just record that segment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on
Or
down.
it could just be, it doesn't have to be an entire episode. It could just be a little 20-minute mulling it over episode. Like, hey, let's just do a live mulling it over here in studio. Let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Let's see what it tastes like. So there's a challenge. Eric, you heard it. You heard it here.
Yep.
Once again, for Connor Roush and Greg Kinn, and also a special thanks to Tommy Hall, our correspondent from over in Delaware, Ohio. I'm Nate Mullins, signing off from the Pulse podcast here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, but please make sure you subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out more than you know. We're already almost to 500 subscribers, folks. That number has gone up dramatically over the last couple of months, especially over this last month. You can help us even more by spreading the word, sharing this video, and telling all your friends. If you're not subscribed to a Heart of Ohio Sports on YouTube, what are you doing? Why aren't you subscribed? You need to be. Get with it, folks. Thanks again for tuning in here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Have a great day, everybody.